Alright, well, finally back out here on the old Moline again. Since the last video, I drained the water out of the radiator, and I'm getting ready to draw the gas out of the tank, at least enough where I can get the tank unbolted. I got my switch in, like I said that in the last video, but I got my ignition switch and everything in, so I gotta put that in, wire that up, and get my headlights wired up, which is one of the reasons I draw the water out, because I got to pull the water pump bolts on the other side of the engine, and those go into the cooling jacket, and I've got to silicone those. So when I do that, I'm going to silicone those so it won't leak anymore. But this has got to come back off, and of course the tank wouldn't have to come back off, but I would rather take the 2 bolts and pull the tank than fiddle around with that dash. So I can just get in there and wire it up a lot easier. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I already made the harnesses for the lights. I think I showed that in the last video, but I can't remember. So basically I just got to make a joint harness, and I'm going to run it down the radiator hose, and then drop it, and it'll tie in and run through these loops and go up to the dash. So I got to get the fuel drawn out of this thing, and I do have a diode to put in line with the exciting wire on the alternator, so that way I'll be able to actually cut the switch off and kill the engine instead of it still running. That was kind of annoying, but it was just temporary. So I'm going to go ahead and get started pulling this gas tank, and I'll be back. Alright, well, I've been fooling with this thing a little bit. So far in this rat nest, I've got main power in on the switch. I've got ignition and the alternator exciter. I've got my, what is that thing called? Diode hooked in. I just got to put some tape on it. I've got the high and low beam wires pulled in, and I've got my backup light wire run up here. I've just got it coming through right here, going straight up into the tube and running back. And this is the old Chevrolet truck taillight harness cover, so I pinched it there and run it, and I just got it tucked in behind here. So whenever I get the fender on, get the tail light, or backup light I mean, I'll run a wire down under and plug it up. But that's all I've got done so far, so I'm going to keep working at it. I did figure out the switch a little more. That's low, high, dash light, backup light. And it's different than the old switch. The old switch, so it's off right now, so you'd flip it to there, your ignition would come on, or comes on, sorry. Your ignition comes on, flip it again, you've got low beam, no dash light, no reverse light. Okay. Now you've got still low beam, but you've got dash lights. Flip it again. Now you've got high beams, dash lights, and reverse backup light. It's a little weird. Me personally, I would think it would be like this. Like it's ignition, then dim with dash lights, bright with dash lights, dim with backup light and dash lights. That's how I think it should be, but it's not. Which I guess if you're going somewhere plowing or whatever, you could have a red indicator light on your fender and high beams or brights. Technically, they didn't have high beams. They had brights and dims. I've got high beams now, but when it was new, it would have just had a resistor in between these two junctions. But yeah, there it is. So I'm going to keep hooking this stuff up. I've still got to figure out how to do the fuse. I don't know if I should do it. It's probably supposed to be done to the main power inlet on the switch. But I just don't trust this fuse with all of that. I don't know. It would probably be just fine, but I don't know what I'm going to do for that. I guess I better do some research, but for now I may not even hook it. I might just leave it, just for looks. I don't know. Or I might hook it to the dims or the brights on the light switch. Wish there was a way I could just hook it to the lights, both high and low beam, but there's no way with this kind of switch. Well, I'm going to get back. Alright, well, so I got the gas tank put back. Got all the wiring done, got the headlights, got the high beams and low beams hooked up. I am going to have to buy 2 new headlights though, because that one right there, the low beam burned out on me, but other than that, it does work though. The wiring does work. That side works. It ain't burned out, but so I am going to have to get 2 new headlights. If I can find one that matches that one, I'll just get one, but I highly doubt it because that's a Westinghouse. I know they don't make nothing no more. It's mostly GE nowadays, but you can't really see much, but I put everything, put the switch in. I did not wire the fuse. I'm still kind of trying to figure that out, what the fuse is actually for. So until I figure that out, I didn't see a use to hook it up. And of course I did hook the gauge lights, so they work. I am going to have to put the light back in here. I didn't do that, but I figured I could add that later. And I got to paint that, but that's headlights should be burning now. Well, heck, that one went out. That might be high beam. Let's see. Hope it's high beam. No, it was not. That was low beam. It was burning a minute ago. Now it's out again. So it might have finally bit the dust. So I guess that one's done. Wouldn't it be funny though if the low beam burns now? Let's see. That's high beam. Let's see what the high beam does. Nope, high beam didn't burn. Okay. Well, it was working. But yeah, I've got it hooked up to where, let me get on the other side. Okay, so I got it hooked up to where it says start, obviously. Dim. It was working on that side, but it ain't now. And then one more click, your dash lights come on. Still dim, even though it does say bright on the thing. And then that's bright. And this is also your reverse light. So your reverse light would be working right now. So yeah, that's pretty much how that's wired up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get 2 new headlights though. But other than that, we pretty much got it. Pretty much got everything. I did order a new gas cap though, because that one's in pretty bad shape. does the job, but I'm afraid it'll start leaking if I put a lot of gas in this thing. Like if I fill it up to, say, here, it's going to slosh and come out the top, I'm afraid. So I got a new one, but this is the next thing. All this stuff. Hood, of course, fenders. And my camera doesn't want to focus. There it goes. So that's all we got. This stuff right here. I'm dreading that hood. Like, I'm really dreading it because it looks good, but all of this metal right in here, you can kind of see it's bowed in and out. All of this is basically paper thin. Starting right about here, all the way up to the exhaust hole, maybe even a little bit of this, but mainly this. You can kind of see that line there. Like there's a hole right there. A couple of holes. It's so thin it crinkled. Crinkled. It's basically broke. I've got several ways I can fix that, and I don't like any of them. But simplest would be ignore it, hammer it out straight again, or round again, and clean it up the best I can, Bondo it, and just let it be. But the complicated way to fix it would be split it off right here, however far back it needs. Cut a new section out. If I have a slip roller, slip roll this. A lot of work, but it can be done. And then, I think I've showed this before, but I've got to fix that corner right there. That one's still fine, but that one's pretty much gone. I think the two bottom ones are good. They just need new bolts. These little studs right here. They're rotted off both sides. Bottom two. Bottom's worse. That one looks like something that'd be on the Titanic. I don't know. I think they took this thing off and left it laying on a barn floor. And the acid and the ground got to it. But fenders ain't gonna be much better. They're I don't know if they're rotted at the bottom or broke off at the bottom. I think they might be a little bit of both. But down there, that plate is separated off of them, and I don't know how bad that's going to be. They're not looking as bad as I thought they did. So it may not be that hard to fix. I'll just have to cross that bridge when I get to it, but they do look pretty rough, though. I don't know. And the one behind it ain't no better. And of course, they stick out so far. People backed into stuff and bent the ends of them. There's a set of these on eBay right now for like $285. But it's like $85 shipping. So I mean, if it was a hood, I think I'd come more buying a hood than I would fenders. Because the hood sort of makes the tractor. Fenders, they're more or less for safety. So I don't know. You can unbolt fenders and go with that fenders. You can't really go without a hood. And I've still got to fix this thing. This thing, though, I have an idea for it. Somebody kind of booger welded it up and messed it up. I'm going to take a grinder and zip off. Can't do it one-handed. Zip this whole bottom off right here. And attach a piece of angle iron. And tack weld it from the sides. And then drill my new holes. And then it'll bolt right on there where it's supposed to go. Then I'll paint it. That'll be done. That'll be the easiest out of all these. to fix. But I think I'm gonna probably call it a video here. Wasn't a lot in this video, but I mean, it's starting to get colder weather here. Like next week's supposed to be in the 50s, which I know to a lot of you that's t-shirt weather. But down here, when you're trying to paint stuff and work on stuff, it gets pretty rough, especially when you work. See, I get off work at like 3 o'clock. I come out here for maybe an hour. If I do start on this hood, say, it'll have to be on the weekend when I paint it. So the odds of having a nice-ish weekend are going to be very slim. So I'll get it if I can get it, but for now, just to have content, I'm just going to post what I've got here, and hope you guys enjoy it. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Before we go though, we've got to hear it run.